We're not on now,
Hi,
are we?
Facebook.
Are we on now?
Yeah, we're live on Facebook.
Oh, we are live on
Patrick Murphy. We're going to be starting soon. What do we need to do, Sam, to get ready?
If I can get a quick sound check from you, please.
Ooh, I need glasses.
Now, we probably want to arrange these so we don't block our faces, right? Like,
Yes.
is this pretty omnidirectional
Yes, we
here?
want to
They're pretty cardioid.
Does this work? Does this work?
Yeah,
Testing?
usually
Check,
what I
testing,
do
1, 2,
is
3.
if you kind of come from below the
I'm just trying to keep from
angle-
blocking my face on the camera because.
Oh, true.
Yeah. What
Does
works
this,
out best?
Okay, does that work? Check, test, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I'll be looking at you too.
Yeah,
Testing,
well,
1,
you
2,
don't have
3.
to look at me
Sure.
for that one, too.
Well, I mean, an interview.
Just giving you trouble.
Basically, as long as you keep your mouth pretty close to the end of it, there you'll be all right. Yeah. And I have a feeling your voice is going to sound good on that, no matter what. So
Thank you.
I'm not too worried about
Thank
it.
you.
Much like mine.
Much like Mich's.
Mitch Hancock is
So-
live now. I just got this on my
See?
phone. Oh, wow, the pressure is on. So theoretically, people could be actually out there engaging with us right
Yes, it takes a while for people to know that we're there, and then maybe we'll start seeing some little hearts come up, or people will start talking and saying, hello, how are you?
now. All right.
Yeah, it's fun. And then I have you Vice President of Production. Was that your official
That
title?
was, yeah, but I went freelance again starting in January.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I've gone from freelance to full time to freelance and
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just doing your thing.
yeah.
You are more than welcome to use the headphones in front of you if you want. You don't have to, despite what your friend said last time. You can do just a fine interview without
I
headphones.
know I did fine without
Although
headphones.
speaking of Bill Schulenberg once gave us audio voiceover guys a lesson. He said in all of his recording experience, he never heard an announcer sound better because he or she was wearing headphones.
Oh, yeah.
Because what you do,
Yeah,
you start
that's what
talking to
I-
yourself.
yeah.
You start talking to yourself. You're talking like this. You're doing a commercial or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're talking like this because you're all in your own ears.
Right.
And you know what really works is if you want to hear that little trick that they have been doing since the 1930s, where you just put you like that and you
Just
can hear
picture.
and you can
Right.
hear
That's
yourself.
just in.
Yeah, I mean, remember, but that really works. That really works. Where let's just in, Mr. and Mrs. America, you know, Flash.
That sounds
Flash.
just like
And why was it that back in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, announcers always talked like
always
this?
like that. I know, like they went to some school and that was the thing
I'm
to
John
do.
Cameron Swayze for Camel Cigarettes. You know, this is London. And they all talk like that. And then I don't know when they stopped, like even in the 1950s and sometimes in the 60s. Maybe it was like rock and roll radio, but that was sort of the accent of
was.
an announcer.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
don't-
then I can't watch old movies because I can't watch old movies because it's this. Are you going to the tracks today? I'm going to the tracks today. Are
Yeah.
you? I'll be at the tracks today. Who else is going to the tracks today? Well, we're going to the tracks. And I'm like, okay, we've got that part down, guys.
You know, but
Can
it's
we
interesting.
move on
Old
from
movies,
this?
they do. I mean, the really good, like 1930s, 40s movies with Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy and all of them. The word count of those is really high. Like people talk
is?
more and they talk faster. In old movies, they talk very fast like this, and it's great. You listen to
Oh,
it.
well, yeah, you're
and,
right, in
And
those
then,
they
like in the
did.
1970s, it was like somebody's just like looking out the window and goes, "Yeah." You know, I like dialogue. I like that kind of a movie like Front Page. You know, I mean, those people are talking and, you know, it's moving and everybody's doing something. It's like that's why they're always smoking or drinking or doing something because they're not just standing there doing, you know, like exposition.
What's your favorite movie now?
Oh wow, that's a hard question.
I know, me too. I can't. when
I've seen
people
some
ask me,
really
I'm
good
like, I don't
movies
know.
lately, and if you can get over like watching captioning like foreign language,
Yeah.
there's some really good movies out. One is The Salesman. It's an Iranian movie.
Ooh.
It's amazing.
I will write this down.
It's The Salesman. It's basically about revenge. You know, revenge is maybe not such a good idea. And one of my favorite movies of all time is Cinema Paradiso.
Oh, I love that one.
Oh God!
Yeah. See,
and,
I
and the
can
last
do the,
40,
I can
the
do,
last 45 seconds
I
of
can
Cinema
do-
Paradiso. If you're not crying, you're a mean person.
Exactly. There's something wrong with you. You're like psycho if you can't get into that.
Have we started?
No, we haven't.
Oh, okay.
Sam's probably like, okay, I'm ready to start. Let's go, guys.
I don't know if we've, you know.
Well, we're there. Started.
So
Hi.
somebody.
There's
it's like-
Jan. Hi, Jan.
Seriously?
Yeah, see, it says right there. Jan Ingham joined.
That means Jana's watching us.
she
as
is
well.
watching us right now.
Hello, Jan.
I haven't seen Jan in a long time.
This is not like Channel 9. This is
No.
different.
It's
In Channel 9, you can't see your audience.
right.
You can't. You may run into them in restaurants and stuff, but you don't see them
Right.
because
You have no idea who you're talking
you're
to.
just in a sound booth.
Well, that's kind of how it's podcasting too. You know, it's like this unknown. Like
Yeah.
somebody will say, "Oh, I love your podcast." I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, good, you're listening."
Good. Good.
Oh, hooray!
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing about Channel 9 is that, you know, the kind of stuff that we do, people come up and it's always positive. It's always, hey, I love what you guys are doing. Rather,
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be in this business if every day somebody came up and said, you know, I hate you.
I
You
have
know,
some
you-
people kind of like that because there are people I think that actively try to be hateful.
Yeah, but they get into
on
politics.
Media.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
they-
there you go.
yeah.
Exactly. Or they talk about it.
Yeah.
Ugh,
So where do you want
let's
to
not
go? What do
talk-
you want to do?
I don't know. Are you ready for us, Sam?
I'm ready for you. You want,
All
me,
right.
you want me to hit it?
Yes, I will introduce you and then we will chat it up.
Okay. Although this stuff was good. This is-
See, that's why I recorded.
I'm spent. I'm
live.
done.
Okay, Patrick's out of
That's all
done.
I got.
He's
All
had
right.
enough of us.
That's all I've got.
It's like that's all I came prepared to talk about.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. I'm ready.
All right. Here we go.
Hi, this is Mich Hancock, and you are listening to Mishmash, a place where I get to talk to the weird, wacky, wonderful people of this world, people I adore and want to know more about. Today, my guest is Patrick Murphy. You know him as the voice of Channel 9. Blah, I gotta do it again. Blah, 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 blah,
Just
blah.
want to go from the
To talk about today. Hi, Patrick Murphy.
Terrific. Hi. I've retired, but what I've basically done is I've shifted to being, as I was for many years, a contract producer.
Right, so you're still there.
I'm still producing
not
St.
the
Louis Symphony
full-time.
shows. I'm still doing the voiceover work, and I'm still doing, like, if an odd documentary or something comes in. So it's just like I'm not going in every day, which is like the best of
Which
everything.
is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and tell me about you. We were talking about your documentary not too long ago. What are some of the documentaries you're doing?
I got 3. We've got 3 coming out. One called "Wish You Were Here," which is it's the 100th anniversary of the Missouri State Park system.
Okay.
So I spent like a week with a camera crew traveling all over the state, shooting the most beautiful parts of Missouri state parks, and doing a documentary. And that's coming out this month, May, if this month is May.
It is May.
And also another one we've been working on for a year and a half. It's finished now. It's called A Place Worth Saving. It's the story of the Central West End. And if you watch Channel 9, I mean, there's going to be a whole lot of hype. There's going to be a premiere and a rolling out. And that's I think, probably, there's going to be something at the Missouri Historical Society, a screening later this month. And then I think it premieres in June. And another one, a third one, that we spent about a year and a half working on, too, which is just going to come out in August, called Smart People, Cool Places, the story
Ooh.
of Cortex.
And
that
that's
is
awesome.
So we just kind of spent a year hanging around Cortex, and wow, St. Louisans do not know how many cool things are going on.
It's amazing, right?
It's so typical of St. Louis, and we're all guilty of it. It's like, yeah, we're St. Louis, mwah, mwah, mwah. You know, but like outside of St. Louis, people know that some of the coolest entrepreneurial startup beginnings are going on in St. Louis. We got the architecture, the neighborhoods. Like now, it used to be that younger people would they'd get out of town, to have
They're
a
coming
career.
here.
They're coming
people are
here
coming
now.
from other places and moving to St. Louis now. I've noticed
Exactly.
with the younger set, and I'm like,
It is a great place
we've
to
become
be.
hip.
Yeah, I mean, eventually it was bound to happen. It was not-
You're around long enough.
and we all of a sudden just become hip just about the time that I'm retiring.
You were you led the path. You
We
were a trailblazer of
We
hip.
were proto hip. We were
right.
hip before hip was hip. We were hippity hoppity hip when, yes. We were-
See, some hip people had to be here in the beginning to kind of get the rest of the hipsters to show
I've
up.
lived in many of neighborhoods in St. Louis that were cool before, when they were just cheap.
When they were just
I just lived there.
Oh, I can afford it here, and then everything grows up around you. That's kind of cool.
I know. So so that's. I mean, Channel 9 is. I started in 1981 doing the voiceover work there, and it was. I thought it was just be a short gig of a few months, and I'd go in and I'd literally read on reel-to-reel tapes. First of all, just things like Wednesday at 8, right? Wednesday at 8:30, Wednesday at 9, and we do the whole clock, and then I do Thursday at 9. Thursday at 9. And then you start getting wacky because your brain starts to go,
Wait, what time
it's like
is it?
Saturday at 10. And then tomorrow and tonight. And then coming up next on National Geographic, owls. you know.
Oh my gosh, how fun.
And that's been a lot of fun. And it's not like, it was just, what a great thing to be associated with. I mean, for me personally, to be associated with Channel 9, which was like the classy TV station. It was like television for smart people.
Right.
When there wasn't that much television for smart people. And so, like, I'm not a smart or particularly classy guy, but my association with Channel 9 really enhanced my...
Just took your status right up there, right?
It really did. It really did. We had an intern one time, and I made the mistake of something went wrong, and I uttered an expletive. Like not a really bad one, but, bad enough. And she just looked at me, and you could almost see tears welling up her in her eyes. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "You can't say that. You're the voice of Channel 9." And
we don't cuss on this channel.
I know. And then doing on-air work, it's like you got to be nice to everybody all the time. You can't give somebody the finger or an interjection or something.
Well, when you're the voice of Channel 9,
exactly.
I'm guessing you have to. It's not like you can have road rage.
No, you got to be.
People will know.
You've got to be
It'll get
nice
around.
all the time. You're like a brand. You've got to be nice.
Yeah.
But that's not so bad.
That is, and
Maybe
I
we
actually
should
think
all-
we could use a little bit more of the being nice,
Even if it's not sincere.
even if I'm just pretending.
Well, that's like doing voiceovers in commercials. I mean, in the 1970s, 80s, up into the 90s, it's changed. It's slacked off. There was a huge voiceover market for people who did voiceovers. We were all in AFTRA, which is now after SAG, which is the Announcers Union.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who did voiceover work was union, and many of us still are. And there was just lots of work, lots of audio studios, and lots of corporate headquarters were here in St. Louis that have since moved.
Yeah.
And so back then, my agent, Sharon Tucci, Talent Plus, who was everybody's agent and still is, best agent in town. At one point, she had all of us get beepers. So that when we wanted to, this was before like cell phones.
Right.
So this is ancient history for, this is
For all
like,
you youngins out there, there
Yeah.
were these things called beepers.
I mean, it was such a big thing to get when they invented answering machines because you didn't have to stay home looking at the phone for
Right,
your agent to call.
right.
You could actually call in and get a message. But then the beeper would vibrate, and that became that vibration. It was the feeling and the sound of money.
All right.
Because it
I'm
was
on.
either going to be an
Where am I
audition
going?
or it was going to be like, go down to producers, go down to Intervision or Technosonic and do a voiceover. And for 15 years, many of us, made a living basically just doing voiceovers.
So you guys were like voices on call. I mean, it would be
Exactly.
someone could call and go, we need a voice right now for.
Well,
and then
or
she could
tomorrow,
just-
or soon, yeah.
Right.
And it would be commercials, but a lot of the way to make a living was doing corporate videos because there were a lot of corporate headquarters in town, and it could be a medical video. You could do a video on how to take out an appendix, and it was fun.
What,
You didn't even know what.
Did you ever do a video? You were just like, what in the heck am I talking
Oh
about
yeah,
right now?
yeah. One of them was some sort of thing for like an aerospace company, and it was like about Star Wars stuff, and I had no idea. We had to sign like a disclosure that we wouldn't say anything about it,
Right.
like on a podcast or something.
Like
20
right
years
now?
later,
Okay.
and I had no idea what it was about. Medical videos, and a lot of them were corporate videos, and some of them were on camera, where you'd put a suit on and you'd look at the camera with sincerity and say, in order to achieve next quarter's sales quotas, we need to concentrate on 3 areas, or there are all
And
these
because
gigs-
you said it with your authoritative.
Yeah.
How did you describe your
Well,
voice again?
Sharon said that she would call me when a client needed authoritative warmth.
There you go.
We were before the podcast. We were kind of kidding around with different kinds of. The clue is to listen to the director behind the glass, and you do a take, and you go, yeah, put a little more warmth in it, and so you put a little more warmth in it, and then they go, okay, the warmth is good. Now put a little more edge into it, and you go, okay, here's authoritative warmth with just a
Oh
little
my
bit
gosh,
of
that's
edge.
brilliant.
A little bit of edge. And that's good, okay. But now we need to shave 3 seconds off it, okay? But try to shave the 3 seconds off, but not make it sound faster. And then you'd have directors who would have like almost code talk, and they go, I don't know. It just needs a little more blue. Make it more blue. And it's like, okay.
Hold on, let me think about my blue voice real quick.
I mean, the audio guys know. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, I don't know, it just needs to be like a little more sunshine or something. And and if you could do that,
get sunshine. I think blue. I'd kind of be wondering about, like, how do I sound?
Well, you didn't know what the heck he or she meant when they said blue. You just give them something different.
So just changed it,
Here's another thing, and again, there are audio people in the room with us you can't see on the screen.
They're here.
But like a lot of times, producers would say, "Could you just shave off like give me another just a little bit of like that dissolve, just shave like 3 frames off of it." And I bet you guys have done this too. You wave your hand over the board, look like you're doing it, and you go, "Is that better?" And the producer goes, "Yeah, that's what I meant." Okay, we're getting nods here, right? We're getting nods here. And it's like, yeah, sort of mawing the producer,
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break.
Good.
We will be right back with Patrick Murphy.
So before I forget, I have to tell you, because you're gonna appreciate this.
Okay.
So on this thing right here,
Yeah.
there's this button that says PP. It just says PP, and if you read the manual, it is not hooked up to anything. All it does is light up, and PP stands for Producer Pacification Button.
Seriously?
That's what I just said.
You just hit it to say, "Is this better?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's it." And you're like, "Great, okay, cool."
So it's like, okay, what we used to do this. So when I was an event manager, we used to do this in event management because people all have different temperatures.
Yeah.
So you would get one person come like, "It is so hot in here. It is so hot in here." And I'd go, "Oh gosh, I'll go take care of that right now." Because 3 seconds later, and I wouldn't touch it, you'd have a person going,
Right.
"Freezing. Oh my gosh, it is so." And I'm like, "I will
Yeah.
take care of that right now."
Yeah.
And I would just say that,
Yeah.
hoping psychologically that these
Seriously.
people would be
Exactly.
like, "It is
So is
warmer."
this okay what we're doing? Is this
This
of any
is
interest to anybody?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, why do you take a break? Do you do a
Well, because
commercial?
we're going
or-
to have, but don't put in those other commercials. I'm
Okay.
so tired of it. I have to think, just do music.
Okay.
I have to think of something else to do in my breaks. I'll think of something.
Okay.
I was going
Kittens.
to actually kittens. Let's
Yeah,
just
let's put a bunch of
let's
meowing.
just do some meowing. That would be.
Sure.
I was going to, while I was out of town, I was going to come up with some really awesome things, but my
But you were
brain
busy.
was too involved with what I was doing. So
Were you going to do some
Understandable.
trivia at some point? Did I hear about that?
I wasn't going to do trivia. I was going to do either interesting stories or things to think about.
Oh, maybe that was
Because
yeah.
I think of weird stuff all the
Yeah.
time, and I think,
Brain candy.
I wonder if anybody else thinks about this weird stuff.
Right.
Was there
that
ever
I
a
should-
dinosaur right where we're standing?
Well, but
Stuff like
I do like if you think about dinosaurs. I would like to know if anybody, one of my things with dinosaurs is, were they really green? Have we ever found dinosaur skin?
I thought they were purple.
See, the Barney people could have
In
been
my
on
world, they
something, right? And so, I'm like, maybe dinosaurs were like fluorescent or something.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
that'd have been
Or
cool.
maybe
Glow
they
in
had
the dark.
feathers.
I know.
Maybe they had feathers.
I think it's a solid theory actually.
I think some of
Yeah.
them did have
Yeah,
feathers.
Yeah, because I mean,
So,
like,
just
me,
weird
that makes
stuff
a bird,
that
but
comes up
whatever.
in my head.
I ride this
I
bike
would like to
trail
talk
in
about
South County, Grant Trail, and you see turkeys walking across the trail, and they look like little dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can talk about old radio stations. We can talk about art.
Well, we
can
want to
about...
talk about art too.
Yeah, good.
Because we want to talk about your new gig and
Yeah.
all that you're doing now. So
Yeah, it's good.
I'm
Mitch,
ready
do you
whenever
think
you
that
guys.
you could just scoot yourself back like 6 or 8 inches, like with the microphone? Yeah, I'm just trying to get a little more distance between you guys.
And is this okay?
Yeah, you're doing
This is
good. I
better.
was wondering, would you be comfortable sort of doing the same thing that she's doing, like a mirror image of that, basically? Yeah.
with the
Good.
Yeah, and then that way you can still see.
and we're still
faces,
there.
Hopefully.
Okay, I'm just trying to keep from blocking.
Oh yeah, that's right in
Yeah.
your face, isn't it?
Maybe go up a little bit.
Well, it sounded good, whatever you were doing. So whatever you're comfortable with is fine.
I guess.
See, look, Mark has joined us
Ah.
from the art thing.
Oh, that's right, because we're not really off. the
No,
air.
we're still there.
Yeah.
We're still live there. Be careful what you say about Mark. Oh, Mark, we love you. You know that. See, and we just got a thumbs up. It's kind of fun.
All right.
It is. It is. So, what do you want to talk about? Art.
And honestly, you just take this wherever you want to go. It's all about you.
Oh, well, how nice is that?
Right? It's good for a Tuesday morn.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, are we ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Here we go.
And we are back with Patrick Murphy. So I met you
Yeah.
how long ago?
A couple of months
Months
less than
ago.
that, yeah.
And I was doing a workshop on social media.
A great workshop, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was terrific.
It was so much fun. It's called Marketing My Art.
Yeah.
And why were you
Because a lot of
there?
artists don't think like business people.
Well, right.
And I mean, it's the only occupation where it's like okay to be starving. You know, I mean, it's like I'm a starving artist. That's cool.
Yeah,
you know,
you're
it's
awesome,
like if
man.
somebody said I'm a starving plumber. You know, it was like, well, then you're probably not very good, right? But starving artist, there's always something noble about it, or like you're actually living, doing your art, and it's like, well, I guess she's sold out. You know, creating stuff that people like, right? Your workshop was terrific, and I know the artists who were there. Lisa Ober of the gallery in
Webster
in
Groves.
Kirkwood,
Or it was in
right
Kirkwood.
across from the
you were right.
station. Yeah, O&D. It was terrific. So that's how we met.
Yeah, that's how we met. And I was like, come be on my podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, the voice of Channel 9 got
Wow,
it. And then I saw your artwork. So
Yeah.
talk about your artwork.
Well, you know, I've always been kind of interested in and I've always liked, like, you know, but about, well, we've done so many shows on art, you know, on Channel 9. We did Arts American, we've done documentaries on art, and I've always kind of sort of I've played with it, and particularly watercolors and drawing. And a couple of years ago, I started taking lessons from an artist named Marilyn Bradley, who is a fantastic watercolorist. And look up Marilyn Bradley. Google Marilyn Bradley. She's great.
Cool.
And then I wanted to do something. I wanted to get into something. You know how we all do things that we're good at all the time, and like I get pretty good after a while at producing TV, but because eventually you got to get good at something you do for years.
Right.
And I wanted to get into an area where I wasn't all that good, because that's where you're going to grow.
Exactly.
And it was so satisfying going from god awful to mediocre. I mean, making that huge leap. You know, and then I started entering the work in shows and selling a little bit and getting better and experimenting. And what really interests me about watercolors or painting is that, like in television or in film, every image is to some degree defined by the images that come before and after it. But like when you paint, it's just that image that tells the whole story and implies what came before and what came after it. So there are a lot of similarities between producing film and television and producing like two-dimensional art, and I wanted to kind of explore that. You're working with a lot of the same tools, color and composition, and learning what the rules are and then breaking them. And so I've really enjoyed. And then when I kind of backed off and went freelance again in January, I'm still doing work for Channel 9 and other clients, but because it's fun. I still like producing. I just don't like going to meetings, and I don't like.
But I think that's really an important thing that you talked about, in that it's Patrick's phone.
That's me. I'm
It's
sorry. I thought I
your
turned it
phone.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did I say that was interesting?
We'll start. So I thought it was interesting when you were talking. I had just learned of the. Oh gosh, now I'm flubbering here. I'm going to get this out.
Flubbering. I like that. What a verb is flubbering.
Let's try this again. So there is evidence out there that, and you know, as you age, you want to keep your brain going, and one of the ways you do it is to learn new things.
Exactly.
Not things you're comfortable with.
Exactly.
So it was like, you don't have to do crossword puzzles and you don't have to play the brain games, but if you just go out and learn something new, that will help you to stay young.
Yeah.
And so that, I mean, that. So
welcome
you went
to
out...
Tips for Seniors. Keeping your brain alive.
But that says a lot about you to go, I'm going to go in this whole different direction to learn something completely new that I I don't. It's not like, I mean, when you
Yeah.
were a kid, did you play around with painting and art,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
just decide I need to revisit
Except when I was
it?
a kid, like in the public schools, it was like art class was always a drag because it wasn't about being creative. The teacher would say, "Everybody hold up your piece of paper," and now we're going to do this, and everybody would do the same thing. And then like about 4 steps into the process, mine didn't look like anybody else's, and so you kind of finished the whole process. I thought art was essentially about how learning how to follow instructions. And when you learn later that that's not what it's about at all, then it's like, oh, it's like so many other things you learn in school. I mean, you go through school and then you spend years of your life unlearning the crap they taught you, right? I mean, isn't that what your adult life is largely about, is unlearning all the things? Like, what do they teach you for history? It wasn't true. They made it all up.
And history wasn't, to me, I did not like history class because I felt like everything started out or ended with a war. And I was like, okay, really? We haven't figured this out yet. But also...
And it's like one day everybody opened the window and went, oh, it's the Age of Enlightenment. This is good. The Dark Ages were a drag. I'm so glad I lived to see the Age of Enlightenment.
Don't you think that the History Channel is awesome? Because the History Channel, like, actually... if my history classes were like the History Channel, I would have paid attention.
And I like the stuff on Channel 9, too.
Well, of course. There you go.
We've done a lot of local history at Channel 9, which is really interesting. Like, how many of us grew up... I mean, it's so biased. How many of us grew up knowing about the 19 race riot in East St. Louis? They didn't teach that to us. Nobody did. But like people in the black community knew about it.
Right.
But we didn't know about it. They weren't
Right.
teaching it at my high school. And there's just a lot of stuff that doesn't make, the history books. But art. I was elected president of Webster Arts, which is a great nonprofit in Webster Groves. It's got a great board. Well, we do the art fair, which is coming up in the first weekend of June. So go if you hear this in time. and also an autumn music series, lots of art exhibits. A lot of artists are involved. We got on our board, among the people there, Gene Dobbs Bradford, Jazz St. Louis is on it. Paul Reuter, who runs the Sheldon, is on it. Kelly Weber, who was with Grand Center for many, many years.
Oh, wow.
We've got a great executive director, Gene Vogel, who is also a photographer and an artist. So it's just a great collection of people who really know the art and the art as a business, who can get things done. And like a community, like I moved from the Central West End a couple of years ago to Webster Groves, which also feels like a city neighborhood in a lot of ways. Kind of a cross between a small town and a city neighborhood, and it's a real good place to be able to get things done. And whether it's a city neighborhood like Cherokee or where we are right now on Gravois or the Central West End, when you introduce the arts into a community or a neighborhood, like the possibilities really increase of doing cool things, getting cool people involved, thinking outside the box, having more solutions to problems in your toolbox and being able to do more. Like, I'm big into like the arts, not just for art's sake, which should be enough, but also because you can really enhance the style of life, the quality of life in a neighborhood.
Yeah,
like I mean, you know that. I mean,
well, and it's
probably,
true, and it's sad when you hear about when people like schools start cutting that sort of thing.
Yeah, the federal government.
Them.
Yeah, I mean, why cut funding to public broadcasting? You need to use all the different
parts of your brain.
Yes.
Right? And so I
need all the parts I got, that's for sure. I can't spare any of them. I need them all, man.
You're like growing new parts with your art and everything.
I hope so. Does it show?
It so does. You look brainier to me.
Brainier, yeah. Yeah. I've started wearing glasses like Rick Perry. They make you look smarter,
Oh, well, I've had to do the same thing. It's like, as I get older, I'm like, I can't read this anymore.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
You have to get out the readers.
And also, like, I felt really fun, and I felt really lucky in the 1970s and 80s and 90s to be in radio and to work in television. And even if the broadcast model is changing or going away in some cases, like if you're creative and you can tell a story and you're in your 20s right now, there are all kinds of opportunities out there to be able to create documentaries, to be able to tell stories. You're involved with the whole TED thing.
Right, yeah.
Like it all boils down beyond the medium, whether it's radio or television. There's so many more distribution systems, like what we're doing right now. I've never done a podcast. This is my first
Is it really? I'm like really
40,
honored then.
40 years in the business, and I've never like done this.
Oh, hooray!
And so if you just look around and go, I got stories. I know how to tell stories in interesting ways. There are so many ways to do it. Maybe you don't do it on Channel 9. Maybe you don't do it on KMOX, you know. Maybe you don't do it on something else.
It's true. I mean, just if you have
like what you're
something
doing,
to
this is
say,
so
you
cool.
just do it. You just go do it if it's something you want to do, and then you'll figure out how to make it all work. I mean,
Yeah.
that's I got started simply because a person said you'd be good at this, and I thought, I'll try it out.
Yeah.
And then as I started doing, I'm like, I love this. I love being able to talk to interesting people. I love asking them the questions I would want to ask them.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it's a complete joy. And then when you find your joy, then you figure out, okay, now how do I turn this into something that I can do and actually make maybe a little bit of a living at, and
Hopefully.
what have you.
And don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. I didn't study broadcasting or anything like this at school. I just picked it up, because we try to make it look hard, but it's not really that hard, I mean, right? I mean, it's like you can pick it up, like at producing shows. I mean, I started being talent on shows and being the voice or being the on-camera guy. And then I looked around, there was always somebody walking around with a clipboard telling people what to do. And I thought, who's that?
I want to do that.
And they said, that's the producer. And I thought, that looks easy. And so I talked to some producers, and the producer said, it is easy. We make it look hard, but it's easy, or else everybody'd want to do it. All you do is surround yourself with people who know more than you do, which is basically I've spent my whole career doing. My first radio job, I had been doing manual labor jobs since I got out of college. I worked at a tuna cannery in L.A. I fixed gas pumps at MFA oil. What is it? Missouri Farmers Oil.
Really?
Yeah, and because my college degree didn't qualify me to do anything.
What was your college degree?
Political science.
Okay.
And so they were, oh, that's great. So I had kind of just a lot of blue collar jobs for many years, and I heard about a job opening at a radio station. And I just went in and I read a script, and they said, okay, they weren't paying much, and I was good enough for whatever they were paying, and they said, you know how to work a board? And I said, yeah. I had no idea what a board was.
Oh,
I had no idea at all
sure.
what a board was. And so so they hired me, and my first shift was at Sunday morning at 6 a.m. And since I didn't know how to work a board, it was to dead air. I didn't know how to turn the pot and flip the switch, but you just kind of learn by making mistakes. And for me, probably the first 35 years were the hardest. And after that, it got easier. It's just kind of faking it day by day.
But I think it's awesome that you had the confidence to say, oh yeah, I can do that. Because in your head, you're thinking, I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out,
Right?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't take much to have confidence in this world. Look around at the people who are doing stuff. I mean,
I can do better than that
I'm
person.
sorry, you're not as bright as most of the people you run into every day who are doing stuff and doing
love
cool
it.
stuff.
I love it.
I think a lot of us, it just doesn't occur to you that you can do cool stuff too. The first step is just trying it.
Just try it out. Just go and do it. And nowadays you can just go do it, and there's plenty of places you can put it on your own.
And we
right?
all, and now we have proof positive that it's true. It is true. What your mom and dad told you when you were a kid, anybody can be president.
And on that note,
We know that. That's true. That's a good thing.
we're going to take another quick break. I love that, by the way.
All right.
We're going to take another quick break, and we will be right back with Patrick Murphy. That's so funny.
That was not an anti-Trump statement. Nobody can configure that into being an anti-Trump.
I didn't catch that. No, I know, but the whole thing. Don't get me started. I can't. And anyway, we might get in big trouble.
Well, you were telling me about how one day you just all of a sudden realized, I'm going to take control and do what I want to do, right?
Yeah, right. No, it's
When you told me that story, I almost got a tear in my eye. It was like, wait a minute, I can do anything I want.
Yeah, it's that whole, to me, the view is looking at the world as your playground.
Yeah.
And saying, this is my playground. I was given this opportunity to live here, and now I want to do really cool, awesome things while I'm here.
And there are a lot of cool people out there who will help you. And one of the nice things about the art scene in St. Louis, and maybe everywhere, is St. Louis Artists Guild, Webster, like artists around here really want to help each other. And if you're coming up and you're sort of new, people will go, that's good. I like that. I mean,
Yeah.
why don't you enter it in a show?
Very
Because
cool.
you need encouragement. So do we have anybody with us, right? Yes, we do.
No, it's just you can hear me talking through us talking through those earphones right now. Oh, on there?
Yeah.
Oh, there's more people. Let's see. Paul, hi. Oh my gosh, that's my friend Paul from Cyprus and Cindy Meyer. She's with Spirit Seeker magazine. But Paul and I just spent a week at TED Fest. So I was at we got an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And so Steve Summers
talking
and I
about
with
that.
TEDx
People from
Gateway Arts,
all
yeah,
over.
we stayed in this townhouse in Brooklyn, New York. We didn't know any of these people. Do you want to turn it off so it doesn't?
I don't know how.
You don't know how to turn off your phone? Here, give it to me. I'll do it. There you go.
Oh.
That's it.
You don't have to turn your phone off. No, I'm a total idiot.
I don't know. Not everybody
But
knows
it's okay if it makes
everything.
little dings off to the side.
Well, it could
you know.
be just we could just like
It could be, hey, we are immersed in a world of
we're super
tech.
important and everybody's trying to get
Yeah.
a hold of us, right?
I'm sorry, a very important phone call just poured in. There used to be an old radio joke, too. Well, I see the
No,
phone
but-
call just poured in.
Let me tell you. So Paul, and then we had an Alex from Buffalo, New York, and Alex from London. We had Aman and Kalpana, married couple from London.
No, are these people actually physically there? Or
There.
Just...
And then we had a guy named Kentaro Kobayashi from Japan. And all of us hung out in this Brooklyn townhouse together doing
Cool.
TED Fest. What was so amazing about it was that we were 8 people who just absolutely fell in love with each other. We fell in love with each other, and we had the best time. And it was, like, to me, it's like one of the more significant things that have ever happened in my life. I was just like...
And you all spoke English?
Yes. Yeah. We all
That's
did.
that
I
is
speak
that
English all
you know
the
that that's that is amazing. And like Webster Arts did an outreach thing with the International Institute recently, and they made art supplies and instructors available to people from primarily Tibet and Nepal, Bhutan,
Nepal, yeah.
and we actually had some people who spoke and could translate, and like the Congo and Zimbabwe. These are people who had spent like 20 years in refugee camps.
Oh, gosh.
And they had the opportunity to like paint and do baskets and things like that, and it was amazing how people connected through art when they couldn't even speak the same language.
See that? Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. It was like art is a better tool to communicate than language. And in fact, language sucks. Language is a terrible way to communicate. I mean,
And yet, we use it every day.
and that's what makes me aware of how inadequate language is. By being a writer and by being the spoken word guy, I just realized you're constantly running up into the limitation. Like music, can't you communicate more through music
Yeah.
than you can words? I mean, words is what we've got, but it's
Put the words
blah,
to...
blah, blah.
Well, this next portion
Yes.
is going to be question time.
Oh
I
God.
get to ask you fun questions.
All right.
They're easy. You will know all of them.
Okay. Like
You will, I
not state
promise.
capitals.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not like trivia.
What is your favorite color?
Maybe.
She's like, oh crap, I gotta rewrite my questions.
Periwinkle. Periwinkle's my favorite color. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
And we are back with Patrick Murphy and some questions for you.
Oh, I didn't know there was a
Yeah,
question
this will
section.
just like kind of spark up our conversation to go somewhere different.
Okay.
Okay. What is your favorite thing ever that happened at Channel 9? Do you have like a totally favorite thing ever?
Yeah, my semi-retirement party, because it was the first time everybody stood up and said how much they liked it.
Oh, I like
Yes,
that. That's
yeah.
all right. That makes you feel good.
Yeah. Not a particular time, but there were particular times. One is when you first start working on a documentary. It's like falling in love.
Aw.
And it's like, you know how it is when you first fall in love, and every day is like the blush of newness, and and trees are greener and the air smells more beautiful because everything is this documentary.
Well, especially when you're doing a documentary on Missouri parks.
Yeah, or the Central West End, and we've done so many documentaries over the years. And then it's like a relationship, sort of. I'm sort of veering from your question.
No,
but then
this is good.
then like a relationship, it's like, oh, there's that stage where, oh, this is going to require some work. and then you hit, like a lot of relationships, you hit that point like, what have I gotten myself into? You know, and is there any possibility of getting out of this? And then like you break through to the other end and you're sitting at the premiere and you have a glass of wine in your hand and love is restored and you go, I'm so glad, I'm so happy.
So glad I did
this.
this.
Is so important. I mean, this is so good.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, there is a cycle. So when you get that new and you start making phone calls and you start writing the script or whatever, and it's like those are wonderful times. I've always loved that, and I love going in and doing voiceovers. This morning I dropped by the station before I came here, and there was a script there. It was for something, you know, and it's just like picking it up and reading it, and it's just fun. It's like,
it is fun.
It's fun.
I just think it's so amazing how long you have been that voice of Channel
36 years.
I just think that's so.
I think it's amazing too.
But there's a total comfort to that.
I thought
for a
thank you.
lot of us.
I thought it was
Yeah.
like going to last maybe a couple of months or something. I was doing voiceovers, and Channel 9 was like a client, and so I'd go in and I'd just read stuff. Like,
and at one point, did they say, "We officially are naming you the voice of Channel 9"? Did they like officially say that, or did it just,
no,
is
it's
that
like,
just what it was?
now that I've done it for 36 years, I can reveal a little secret.
Okay.
Here's a little secret, okay?
I'm listening.
I'm not that good. Okay, I'm not that good.
But you're
you know what? No,
unique.
people
You're
get
unique.
used to you, and they go. And now, like they'd hire some new person at Channel 9, and like she's 30 years old, you know, or 40 even. And they go, I grew up listening to you, and I go, yeah, you know, you're just used to me.
But if people didn't like it, they would say, "Oh my gosh, please, not that voice again."
Yeah, man. I guess.
Don't you think that
maybe,
people would have been?
Maybe. Oh, here's
people will tell
here's
their
a funny
opinions.
story. I was at an event at Channel 9. This was some years ago, and oh, this was so sweet. There was a middle-aged woman with her very elderly mother. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and the mother was, she was very elderly, and maybe she was dealing with some cognitive issues,
Gotcha.
you know, but in a way that happens to eventually all of us, I suppose. And I was introducing myself to her, and I was doing the being nice to the sweet little old lady thing.
Right.
And she was talking about how she loved Channel 9, and then she looked at me and she said, "One thing though," and I said, "Yes," and she said, "Tell Patrick Murphy to shut up." Her daughter just about died. And I looked at her and I said, I will tell
make
him
sure
next
he
time
gets
I'll tell him to shut up.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Tell Patrick Murphy to just tone it down.
Question
All
number
right.
two.
Question number two. You ready?
All right.
And I just happen to know this is a good question to ask you.
All right.
What is the most interesting thing you have found out about your ancestry?
Oh, I've been kind of fooling around with Ancestry.com.
I know.
And I've sort of, like, I grew up in an Irish Catholic family of storytellers, you know, all the way
Gotcha.
back to the old country. And I knew that my great-grandfather, he was born in 1847 in Dublin, and I always knew that he came over here around 1870, and he became a citizen, and he started a candy company because they had a candy shop in Dublin. And I went to Dublin, and I saw where they used to live.
Oh, cool.
And I saw the church where he was baptized, and I was kind of walked in their footsteps. But I learned that he came over to America because he was sentenced to be hanged because he was in an uprising against British rule. And he was like 17 years old, and they had sentenced him to be hanged. And he came over to America in steerage.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
And now I want to find out more about which rebellion it was. There was a rebellion in 1861 outside of Dublin, and I bet he was in it. And if I could find the piece of paper that sentenced him to death, I'm going to mat it and hang it on the wall, because that's how he came to America.
That's so cool.
I know, and I've got pictures of him, photographs of him, like in the 1880s with a mustache and stuff. And then I thought, well, who's his father? Well, I found his baptismal certificate. And his father, and I found some certificates where his father died when he was very young, like in 1849, and his father came from Belfast. So he must have, because they were Catholic, come to Dublin because they were being harassed probably by the Protestants in Belfast, and he came down to, but I want to learn about him.
That's
You
so
know?
cool.
Yeah.
That sounds very interesting. We've got a family member that's really into it, and she gives us. I mean, it's awesome because she does all of it and then tells us, and we're like, "Wow, really?" But yeah, I find it.
And he died. He died in the 30s. But my grandfather said he never felt bad about the British people. He never thought the British people were, bad. But he didn't care much for the British government.
Well, it's always the people.
Hey, they want to hang you. You're going to develop an attitude.
Yeah, you might get a little upset.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. That was fun to tell.
You're welcome. And I have one more.
Yeah.
So, do you, as an artist, do you have a favorite artist?
I a favorite like school of artists. I really like it's called Fauvism, early 20, like German Expressionism. I kind of like sort of stuff where they play a lot with colors and shapes, and it's kind of a little weird, and I also really like. I never answer any of your questions straight, do I?
You're not supposed to.
That reminds me.
You're supposed to take it in whatever direction you want to go.
And I really like early 20th century Midwest regionalism, like Catherine Cherry.
Okay.
And Frank Nudisher and
I don't know any of these. I have to look it up.
Down in St. Genevieve back in the 1930s during the Depression, there were a bunch of WPA artists, Work Progress Administration artists, and they hung out down in St. Genevieve, and a guy named Joe Jones and look them up, St. Genevieve art movement back in the 30s.
Okay.
And these were like these they were hanging out and doing kind of a commune thing, and Joe Jones, a hard drinking guy who painted, he was a communist, and it's just like, wow, these are cool people. Back when communists were cool,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're like so by the book nowadays, I mean, but back then they were like, smoking non-filter cigarettes and yay, the working man, and I'm going to paint and then I'm going to get drunk. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick, I thank you. I can't thank you enough. I'm so glad I got to meet you.
We're going to do a podcast and we're going to go out and get drunk, right?
Yeah, let's go get drunk now.
Smoke non-filter cigarettes. Let's do it.
That sounds healthy and fun.
It's noon.
And since I haven't done that, it'll be like growing my brain because it'll be a whole new thing that I can experience.
Exactly. You rewire it.
I'm going to get some new brain connections going.
This is fun, and I am so glad that I met you a couple of weeks
Me
ago,
too.
months ago.
I thank you so much.
This is great.
I really appreciate you just going, sure, whatever.
You want to come on and talk about yourself?
I'll go talk on your podcast.
One
I
of my
have no
favorite
clue what you're doing here.
Me. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Patrick. And you all have been listening to Mishmash. Make sure to go to iTunes and subscribe. Thank you. Love you all. Bye. Awesomeness,
Yeah,
right?
Cool. That was fun.
Bye, Facebook.
Is this the part where we hug?
Oh, yeah.
Is
Let's
this the
hug
part where we
first.
hug?
Oh. And I need to get your picture.
Oh,
Bye, Facebook.
okay.
I need